Okay, I'm going to have to be reasonably quick and do this in one shot because we've had a bit of snow and I need to do some snow clearing and then maybe hit the swimming pool. Anyway, this one is called deception. Um, One thing that seems to unify viewers to my channel is opposition to globalism and which you could really call big international authoritarianism, you know. Um, and what I want to say is very simply here is that swapping a globalist police state for a national police state, a nationalistic police state, it's no solution. I'm not interested in swapping Klaus Schwab's fourth industrial revolution for some sort of form of national authoritarianism. You know, people can say, oh, well, you know, burning degenerate books and getting rid of pornography, you know, it's a good thing. It's a really good thing to have tight controls on society. You know, for me, I don't agree with pornography. I'm sure there are certain books and I remember films like The Life of Brian that I didn't like at all. You know, but I don't want to live in a society where the government destroys material that they've decided to protect you from. You know, again, using the example of the UK, like banning RT, you know, I want to decide myself whether I want to watch RT or not. And if I want to watch it, whether I believe in what's being said or I'm just finding out what Russian propaganda is. I don't care. I want to be left alone. So basically, you know, you have this fundamental choice. You either have censorship and controlled speech, or you have a free society. You can't have a free society and controlled speech and censorship. It just doesn't go. It's an oxymoron. You know, for me also as well, I'm a Christian, so for me, free will is really important. It's God decided to create us with free will, and therefore we're not meant to live under an authoritarian government. We're not meant to live in a police state. I don't care how good you think, you know, this police state is going to be. I'm not interested in it. Not interested in it at all. The other thing that I would say on that is that we're supposed to worship God. We're not supposed to worship some sort of Führer that's going to run our lives for us inside some sort of authoritarian police state, even if they can get the trains to run on time and keep the lights on during the winter time. I made a few notes here. So I'm also not up for scapegoating or tarring people with the same brush, because that's just ignorant and foolish. You know, for me, I'm much more a Martin Luther King type of person. And I believe that we should treat people according to the content of their character and their actions, judge people according to their actions, not according to things that they can't control, which is, you know, their race or their skin colour, their nationality or anything like that. You know, you shouldn't just condemn somebody because they happen to have been born in Russia or Israel. Not up for that. That's never right. And it's important for me to sort of say that it's not right at all. And then we need to stand up for this sort of stuff, to actually call it out, not in our name. So this begs the question then, doesn't it? So what type of society do I want if I don't want to live in an authoritarian police state? For me, what's really important is that we live in a society where there's a written constitution which formally limits the power of democratically elected politicians. That's super, super important. John Stuart Mill wrote about the tyranny of the majority, and he was right to warn that, you know, if, again, you know, in the age of propaganda, the government can create fear. You can then maybe mobilize 55% of the population, you know, to put the other 45% in a camp or steal all of their stuff. So what I want is a formal written constitution that's unalterable, that safeguards basic human rights, that limits the power of democratically elected politicians who've gone rogue who want to try and grab the levers of power for their own benefit. So there's no such thing as a benevolent dictator or Führer. You're living in cloud cuckoo land. The type of person that's attracted to that type of job, being a technocrat or Führer, they're bad people. They're interested in, they get off on power and control. And we're not, as I said before, we're not meant to have our lives run for us. We were created with free will. The other thing that I would say is that I am interested in other ideas and cultures. There's more than one way of going about life. But I'm also a realist. I realise that people, different nationalities, they're not all the same. I know that's really controversial, but again, I'm just going to say it. We're not all the same. That's not to say that some people are better than others. It's just that we're different, and we should accept that. So I think it's highly dangerous to have a situation where you have open borders and a welfare state, because what people will do is that they'll move from countries that don't have a welfare state to other countries that do. And the solution at the moment, if there is a solution, because a lot of the countries that have got welfare states are being bankrupted by people wanting to move there to take advantage of free healthcare, free education, pensions, etc. The solution to this problem is, at the moment, is immigration controls. Now, for me, I would much rather go down the other route, which is basically get rid of the whole lot, get rid of welfare payments, move the state out of education and healthcare, because the last 2 years have just shown this again and again and again. Education and healthcare are way too important to be left with dodgy politicians who will want to pursue their own agenda. They cannot be trusted. So those services should be provided by the private sector. That doesn't automatically mean, businesses run for a profit. Maybe in the case of medical care, it could be run as a local co-op, or you could also have charities too. But the key thing is, I've seen this here in Finland, is decentralization. So you've got a better chance of the people providing the service being held accountable locally by people who are interested, who think that they have the power to change things. What else would I say? I would also get rid of a lot of regulations too. People are sensible enough to decide what's best for them. So in terms of, say, banking, deregulate the whole lot of it, get rid of central banks, allow private competing currencies to circulate. And then basically what will happen is the market will ensure that you end up with currencies that act as stable stores of value. Because if a currency doesn't, then you're going to migrate over to a currency that does. And if there isn't one, somebody's going to invent one. Maybe it's Bitcoin, maybe it's something else, maybe it's gold and silver. Let the market decide. Let the market decide the price of money, which is the interest rate. Keep corrupt politicians out of it. And the last thing that we want is a future whereby access to credit is determined by your social credit score, which is determined by, again, corrupt, power-hungry politicians. So where's the deception in this? I've talked. That was the title of my video. Well, I think that the current situation is really bad that we've got ourselves in, and Klaus's fourth industrial revolution. You might call it global fascism, so you could call it the fourth industrial Reich rather than the fourth industrial revolution. It's bad, but the deception that many people seem to have fallen for is that, yeah, the solution is to swap Klaus's police state for a revived 1930s style police state. And again, I have to be wary about this, because I remember as a teacher, the thing that you should never do is criticize students who are innocent of something in front of a minority who did whatever you want to criticize. So forgive me for this, but this is for a small minority of people that seem to sort of hold up the 1930s German moustache man as some sort of a misunderstood superhero. You know, that Germany in the 1930s and 40s was some sort of paradise on earth. And what I want to say to those people is, you are crazy. You're not only ignorant, you are completely crazy if you think that the moustache man was misunderstood and was a good person. You know, that guy will rightly go down in history as being one of the evilest men ever to have lived on this earth, who created complete chaos, murder, death. I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't want to have lived in Germany in the 1930s and 40s. It would have been hell on earth, and you want me to swap Klaus's vision for the future for some sort of ethno-nationalism, based some police state like in Germany in the 1930s. No thanks, not signing up for that. Yeah, and I think what it is that there are people who they're fooled by. They want to look up to people. They want people to be their mum and dad when they're adults, and they want easy solutions. They look for scapegoats, that all of the world's problems are down to people who, follow a particular religion or a particular race. So these people are stupid, and yeah, they're dangerous because they are stupid. What else have we got? So, all of this here about, I had to shut off the comments last night. So, what's going on here? I think more than likely a lot of this is a trap, that many of the people that were writing those things were government, 77th Brigade. And you can see what's happened in Germany the last day or two. What they want to do is to smear anybody who questions their police state and say, well, they're far right, fascist, whatever. And these people who tried to sort of say that the moustache man was misunderstood and really he was a good person after all. I'd be very surprised if all of these people are honest. I think some of them are actors performing a role, and what they're trying to do. So where does God fit into all of this? Well, I would say that, the Bible tells us not to worship false gods. And, these people that want some sort of police state, a highly authoritarian way of life, these people worship the state as though it was a god, and they want politicians to fix all of their problems for them. My view on, redistribute income, or, steal from people that politicians have scapegoated. That obviously happened in the 30s and 40s. The truth of the matter is that we're born with different gifts. Jesus was the servant king, and what he wants us to do is to serve each other. And, for me as an economist, that implies a free market where there's free will. All transactions are voluntary, and individuals specialize and trade value for value. That's the type of world that I would like to live in, rather than a police state. I don't really care whether it's a left-wing police state or a right-wing police state, whether it's globalist or whether it's nationalist. I do not want to live in a police state. And that's my problem with these people that sort of say that the moustache man was misunderstood, etc. Because I wouldn't. That was hell on earth. Okay, so just some Bible quotes to finish off, which basically emphasise the point I made earlier, which is, I think our role here is to understand what we're good at and trade on a voluntary basis with other people, and work hard and serve others. So this is from Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. It says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. Yeah, so we work for each other. We don't work for the government. We don't work for the dictator, Klaus Schwab, Moustache Man, Stalin, whoever it is. And then from 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 10, I'm smiling here because my wife will often quote this, and it comes from one of her maternal grandfathers, who always used to say this. And so it says, as I say, from 2 Thessalonians, "For even when we were with you, we will give you this command. If anyone is not willing to work, let him not eat." So, apparently my wife's granddad would say to her, get out of bed. God won't feed the lazy ones. And I think, the type of person that's interested in a police state and authoritarianism, they often are very lazy. They can't be bothered to work. And what they want to do is to use the power of the state to loot. And, that we're not meant for that. First of all, because we're born with free will. And then second of all, we're not supposed to steal, and that's what that is, using the power of the state to nick other people's stuff, either confiscating it or through taxation. So one more time, I don't want your police state. People who are writing in the comments, trying to make out that Germany in the 1930s was some sort of national socialist wonderland and everything was brilliant there. Not interested in your ethno-nationalism or any other kind of promise of a paradise on earth, because if you look at the history of police states, it's never been great for people. It's been the exact opposite. It's resulted in misery and death. So you can stick your police state where the sun don't shine. I'm not interested in it. Don't care what variety it is. For me, give me Jesus Christ. Give me freedom to serve one another. That's what we should be doing. In voluntary transactions that we can withdraw from. And that's what I want. That's the world that I want. That's what I want, rather than Klaus Schwab's fourth industrial revolution. I don't want to swap one police state for another. No, thank you very much. And with that, I better go off and do the snow clearing, and God bless.